Okay, so our next news is about the company that has pretty much had people on their toes from day one, quite literally. We're talking about TikTok, and the news is not a very happy news, but it might change. TikTok could be one step away from a forever ban in the United States. So recently, TikTok actually lost its appeal in the federal court against a ban, which basically goes into effect on the January 19th. The ban basically will says that you cannot use TikTok anywhere in the United States starting 19th January. And TikTok actually appealed this ban in the federal courts, and they actually lost. And so now TikTok is actually asking Supreme Court to intervene and to make this decision. Taking it one step higher. The ban, if you don't know, is linked to national security concerns. The parts of U.S. government have cited that there are serious data risks in how TikTok is operating, because it's basically owned by a company that is not U.S. or based in U.S. So if this ban goes into effect, there's the big impact. The impact is more than 170 million U.S. American users, right? So yeah, this is going to impact a lot of people in the United States. But that said, there is still kind of for TikTok, there is still kind of a ray of hope as well. The newly President-elect Trump, Mr. Trump has expressed support for TikTok's presence in US. So since Mr. Trump is going to come in soon, this can potentially change TikTok's future in the very next month. So we'll see how this kind of changes in the near future. And just to remember, US will not be the first country to ban TikTok, with India imposing a nationwide ban in 2020. So this has already happened. So yeah, so let's see how this unfolds in the next month or so, and we'll keep an eye out for this. Now, for news, for the next news, we have wait, we just covered Amazon. Yeah, so Amazon has launched 15 minutes delivery service in India as well. So just they're everywhere. So basically, their goal here is their promise is to deliver anything within 15 minutes or less. That's amazing. They've started this pilot in the city of Bangalore or Bengaluru. So they're piloting the service now. Of course, this is not the first time that somebody has tried something like this in India. India is a big economy. There are other players there. There are players such as Blinkit, Swiggy, or Flipkart that are already operating such services in India. So Amazon will have to compete with these local players. That said, the Indian market is going, according to reports, the Indian market is going to grow quite significantly, and Amazon wants to be a part of it. By end of 2024, the Indian commerce is expected to exceed $6 billion a year. So Amazon definitely wants a share of that pie, and they've actually entered here, and their focus over here is on speed and value. Just like for anything else on their platform, that's what they'll be focusing on. They'll aim to offer fast and valuable service nationwide once the pilot is done. So if you're in India, expect Amazon 15 minutes delivery service to show up on your doorstep sometime soon. Okay. So now, just like we went back to Amazon, let's move back to Bitcoin again, but this time with a different angle. A tech enthusiast is fighting a legal battle to retrieve their 500 million pound worth of bitcoins from a landfill. So there's basically a treasure worth 500 million pounds that's buried somewhere in the landfill, and Mr. James Howell is basically seeking his hard drive that he had accidentally thrown into that landfill in 2013 that had all this Bitcoin on it, and now it's worth 500 million pounds. That is crazy. He has a hearing with the High Court for the Bitcoin retrieval case. Now, why is he working? Is he going to High Court for this? Is because he needs permission from the City Council to do this, and the City Council has opposed this work. They say this is basically going to cause a lot of environmental concerns, and they are concerned, and that is the reason why they don't want to allow this to happen. There are also a lot of issues related to the legal ownership of the hard disk because it's been discarded. There is debate about the rights of property once it has been discarded. If you throw something in the garbage, if somebody else picks it up, are they stealing your property? I don't know. So though that's the kind of debate that is happening. But that said, there is a big amount of money at stake. 500 million pounds, not even dollars. Mr. Hollis has proposed a technological plan, a detailed strategy to the court, and he expects, he's hoping for a decision in his favor. So we'll see if Mr. Hollis is able to retrieve his treasure from garbage. Okay, so now let's talk health and environment. So have you ever thought how much energy all these computers that are running inside data centers, how much energy do they consume, or how are they cooled? Because they get hot when they're doing some sort of computation. They get really hot. How much energy is it required to cool off these machines? If you have a desktop at home, you might know of this fan that spins really hard when you're doing something complicated, let's say playing a game or doing some math calculation, running Excel, etc. In that case, it's the fan that does it. How does it work in data centers where there are thousands of these machines? So till now, there are many ways of doing it, but one of them was using liquid cooling. Some data centers also use air cooling, but many data centers would use liquid cooling, where they would evaporate this liquid to basically achieve the cooling effect. What Microsoft has done, they've actually introduced the next generation of data centers now that achieve this cooling with zero extra water. They're calling it the zero water cooling. It's technically not really zero water cooling because it still requires liquid or water in this case, but they don't require any additional water. So once the construction of the data center is completed, so here these new liquid cooling technologies recycle water through a closed loop. Once the system is filled during construction, it will continually circulate water between the servers and chillers to dissipate heat without requiring a fresh water supply. So basically they create a closed loop. They don't waste any water, and that's why they call it a zero water cooling solution. So of course it eliminates any extra water use in the cooling. So that is a good thing. They say that this is really innovative because now they've adopted a new way of cooling chips, which is much more precise, which allows for a much more precise temperature control. Of course, They support all sorts of workloads, but of course this is the era of AI, so of course they say of course it supports AI workloads as well. So yeah, they're right, it supports AI workloads, but it also supports all sorts of other workloads as well, anything that is running in this data center. But that said, it is a good thing because it supports Microsoft's sustainability goals. Data centers will slowly start becoming more and more environmental friendly, like that. If you remember, in the last segment, in the last episode, we spoke about Amazon going for a heat sink that takes the carbon away from the data center. So that is another. So as we see, data centers are actually going towards becoming more and more green as we move forward. But just to clarify, there is still water being consumed there for administrative needs, for restrooms and for cooking and for canteens and blah blah blah, right? So those things still use water. It's just that there is no extra water being used for cooling the systems moving forward. All right, so our next story is about something that can affect, it might have already affected millions or even billions of people, even you. So there was a study that just came out, and this study is about lead exposure from gasoline that has been linked to mental issues in Generation X. And by that, we mean people who were from mid 1960 to mid 1970, those people who were in their formative years during that period. Now this study is basically looking at only the US population, so any numbers that will be quoted here are specifically for United States. But since leaded gasoline was pretty much used everywhere on the whole planet, this doesn't mean that this so basically the effect is global, and you can just scale the number according to the population of your country. Well, scaling might not be the exact way to do it, but you can kind of get a rough idea. But basically everybody in the whole world, if they fall in this period in which they were born, which is, what is the study saying? It's basically saying that the leaded gasoline, it peaked between 1960 and 1970. It was banned in 1978, but it can still be found in older homes and present hazards to children. So just be careful which groups are at most risk. Born between 1966 and 1986, with rates peaking for those born between 1966 and 1970. So that's kind of the target group. And this sort of lead exposure, according to the study, leads to increased depression and anxiety. So maybe that's why there are a lot of people who suffer with these issues from this generation. In fact, some researchers are now calling Generation X as Generation Lead. That's how bad it is. The amount of estimated cases just in US is about 151 million. That is just in US in the last 75 years, of course. So I mean, if it's this doesn't even, so there are people outside US that it doesn't take into account, so the number might be even bigger. There's no safe level to the lead exposure, so even a minimum amount can pose health risk. But millions are still facing the issue in US, and of course a similar number will be across the globe as well. So yeah, this is Generation X, and probably maybe the right word for Generation X might be Generation Lead, and you might be one of them. So now let's end this episode on something positive. right? Something that that shows us that humans can make a positive difference, change for good. So U.S. government has mandated nationwide testing for raw and unpasteurized milk for bird flu. According to this article, USDA has ordered nationwide testing for milk to halt the bird flu virus. So the initial implementation for this is in 6 states: California, Colorado, Michigan, Mississippi, Oregon, and Pennsylvania. And then it aims to contain the spread of the H5N1 bird flu virus in dairy cows. So that is all good. It's a very good thing to do. I'm actually, very impressed that this is being done nationwide now. However, there are concerns about this. The concerns are, of course, related to the economics of this whole testing initiative. As to, of course, the testing is going to cost something. Who is going to bear this cost? There are concerns amongst the farmers if they will be asked to pay for the testing, and of course, with whatever margins they're making, they are concerned that this is not going to be good for them. That said, this is only for raw or non-pasteurized milk. The process of pasteurization kills automatically it goes through a heat treatment process, and that heat treatment kills off all the bird flu virus. So you don't have to worry about any milk that you have been drinking till now. It's only about this new form of milk that is entering into market, which is the non-pasteurized variant. So yeah, this was the news for this episode, and with this I will take your leave, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you and goodbye.